get into our public comment period. Before we get started, there's a couple things I'd like to mention. I believe we're here tonight because we passed resolution number 24. Resolution 24 basically said that we believe we should allow the DEC and the governor to do their job. And whatever they so choose, it is what it is. We have taken a stance that it would be very irresponsible for us to ban drilling before the governor and the DEC have even spoke or given their final word. So because of that, I believe that that's why we're all here tonight. There's people that would like to speak, whether it's for or against. We will gladly listen to each and every one of you. There are going to be some guidelines here tonight. They are similar to the guidelines that we have faced, I have faced, when I have gone to the DEC meetings and spoke myself. Speakers are going to be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. I do have on here the entire public comment will last a maximum of 30 minutes. We are going to waive that tonight. We will spend the rest of the night here. Speakers are requested to stand and state their name, address, and the topic of discussion. Speakers will not be allowed to personally attack any other person or persons. We would like everyone to come to the podium and you will address the board. And at the moment, it seems to be pretty nice in here, peaceful, and I'd like to keep it that way. As to cameras and videotaping, as long as it does not interfere with what we're trying to do tonight, they're fine where they're at. But we get carried away and we'll remove them. We do have officers with us tonight if things get carried out of hand here. So the first thing I need to do is plug in the microphone. I believe the easiest way would be to, those that would like to speak would be just to come down the aisle and Dustin. Okay, so at this time,
Hello, my name is James Warden. I reside at 1529 New York State Route 79, town of Windsor. I am a fourth-generation dairy farmer. We have farmed the land. I am also the president of the Windsor-Colesville Gas Coalition. I would like to thank the board for giving me an opportunity to speak and for having this meeting tonight and allowing everybody to speak. We are in total support, the coalition is, of the town board. We understand that this hydrofracking is a major issue and it's divided a lot of towns. It needs to be understood that we are in favor of whatever the DEC decides. If the DEC decides pro or against, we are going to support that. This is not a decision to be handled by the town or by personal residents. This needs to be handled by the state on a statewide issue and handled accordingly. They have the expertise, they have the people in charge, and they can make the decisions. We can't. I thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gary Heltman, 443 New York Route 79, Windsor, New York. I'm a lifelong resident and landowner of Windsor, New York. And first I'd like to thank you, the board members, for your continuing hard work, trying to revive the poor economic climate of this area, and also for your work so far on Resolution 24. Unfortunately, because of the continuing bad economy, our once vibrant municipality with bustling local businesses and opportunities for young families have kind of gone by the wayside. As our children graduate from high school, trade schools, or colleges, there's really nothing here for them. They all have to move away. My son's currently in college in Pittsburgh. He won't be back. There's nothing here. And unfortunately, this scenario is just true for much of upstate New York. And with the advent of the natural gas industry, our town, along with the surrounding areas, have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to bring jobs and growth back to our communities. Now, I'm a teacher by trade. I teach technology education. And I've been very active in educating myself through research, attending many meetings, touring areas in PA, talking to people down in PA, landowners and things. And obviously there are some minor instances and some cases where there's been some issues and things. But I found overall, all these supposed dangers that are claimed by some of these opponents, it's just not true. If you look at some of the actual facts and figures, there's been tens of thousands of wells drilled in this country using hydrofracking. And the actual hydrofracking method is very safe. They have had some minor spills with containment of the fluids, and that's something that can be addressed by using closed loop systems and being very careful how they handle that fluid. And all that fluid should be put through water treatment so it doesn't go back into the ground. Now, in touring PA, what I have found down there is I found people building new homes, restaurants and local businesses are thriving, schools haven't had to lay off teachers, that's a big issue now, teachers are getting laid off, they haven't had to have taxes raised, they've got extra taxes coming in, and the general attitude towards many of those people down there are very positive towards the gas industry. Again, there's always some learning curves and things that happen along the way, but I think overall it's a very positive industry, and I think it has a lot to offer us here in this community. With the strict environmental rules set in place by DEC to ensure safe drilling in New York, as they come out, I just think we cannot afford to let this opportunity to go by. Okay, thank you.
My name is Hal Smith. I live at 205 Garrett Road. I've lived here for 36 years on land that's been in my wife's family for 3 generations. This issue of gas leasing is the single most important issue that we'll see in our lifetime in this community. And I was embarrassed to learn that the Windsor Town Board followed the Colesville Town Board, preceded the Colesville Town Board, in doing an under-the-radar encouragement for Windsor to be fracked. You claim this resolution is a very neutral resolution, but it's part of the agenda the governor and apparently the DEC has to frack 5 communities in Windsor, and everybody's standing up and says, take us. The thing is, you have no evidence whatsoever that this is what the community wants. There's no poll, no referendum, and to find out 3 weeks after it happened that you passed this resolution, Colesville passes it at the end of the meeting with 1 person present. This is not a democratic way to handle the biggest issue that this community is going to face in our lifetime. I'm not naming individuals, I'm not going to attack anybody personally, but there are 2 members of the town board that have dawning conflicts of interest. One has a lease one has a large tract of land and a business that will benefit tremendously from this industry. And those two individuals should abstain from any vote on this matter. And I think the board should withdraw this resolution until they can present evidence to the community that this is what the community wants. There's a very simple way to do that. For about $2,000, you can have a scientific poll by an unbiased national organization that does polling for presidential candidates. And there's already been a poll by the Public Policy Polling Organization that found in the 5 counties that are targets for fracking, every one of them is split. Sure, landowners want it, people who are going to benefit, but the smaller people, the majority of the population don't own land, they're going to have the onus without the bonus. I think it's very unfair.
Thank you.
My name is Tom Ibages. I live at 75 Bennett Road in the town of Windsor. I came here tonight to show my support for the Windsor Town Board on this issue. I've lived here for over 30 years now, and I got to say I'm very proud of the Windsor community. They're very generous people. Yeah, I don't see a split in this community. I think this community is for this issue. They're about 80% for it. I've seen the land maps. I think it's also a freedom issue. I, as a landowner, should have the right to drill on my land and to profit from that land. And I just believe that I'm hoping the state and the DEC come to the end of this issue and get it going. Like I said, I think people are generous in this town, and they will take whatever land money they get from this, and they will be very generous with it. Yeah, I think.
My name is Marcy Crawford. I live at 101 Bennett Road, Windsor, New York, for over 40 years. I don't take people's word when they say things. I got a copy of the resolution to verify what was actually in it. The only thing I can say is people saying that this board passed a resolution stating that they were in favor of gas didn't read it. Very plain and very simply. Read the resolution. It is not saying that the town board is in favor or opposed to it. What kind of a resolution can you have, or a referendum can you have, saying, no, we don't want to follow whatever state law is, when you don't have the choice except to follow the state law?
Good evening, town board members, and thank you for having this meeting and hearing us speak here tonight. My name is Brad Chubb. I live at 1431 Trim Street in the town of Windsor. I've lived there for 15 years. Came to the community because I enjoyed the peace and quiet and rural nature. I applaud your efforts to pass this resolution. The emotion and the politics that have made this such a divisive issue are all the more reason to allow this decision to be made at the state level by the DEC, informed by the scientists. It is objective as anything could be, and is informed by the facts. I thank you for following their lead and pursuing their agenda as they have not yet announced, but as they will be, whether it is pro or against. As to echo what Jim Warren said earlier, whatever the DEC decides is what we will pursue. Thank you very much.
My name is Anton Wagner. My family owns third generation tree farm, 163 Cliff Road in Windsor. I'm not a resident of the town of Windsor, but I've been here for 54 years, on and off. I believe from what I read in the papers that the town council or board was within appropriate realm to issue the resolution. From a legal standpoint, I wanted to commend you for taking that position. During my career, I spent 20 years in the chemical industry as an engineer in water treatment and environmental sciences, and I had significant exposure not only to New York State DEC, but also to the EPA. And people at EPA that I've worked with had a very high regard for New York State DEC. Myself, as a representative of a major water treatment chemical company, also had very favorable interaction with DEC over many years. For us to not let them do their work and the governor and his office do their work would be a mistake. However, as a member of the Windsor-Colville Coalition, my family and myself feel that the decisions that will be made in Albany are best for all concerned, and those of us that turn the lights on every day need to realize that sooner or later, energy has to come from our own area, not from other states and not from other countries. Thank you.
And I came up because I'd like to follow that about the light bulb and energy. I have some questions I'm hoping you can answer for me. I went to a meeting last week about fracking, and it so startled me and frightened me that I thought that I needed to get more information. What I heard was that the company down in Pennsylvania, Chesapeake, is $22 million in debt, and they have already sold a lot of their contracts off to out-of-the-country companies. So that 1/3 has gone to, I believe it's Norway, and 1/3 has gone to Australia, and they're working on China. And I did talk to a wonderful man who just spoke a little bit ago who said that nothing can leave the country at this point, it's just about permits. But my question and my concern is, when I look at the ads on the television, it's all about helping America get off the grid over the Middle East, to help us take care of ourselves. If the companies that are coming in here are going to sell those contracts right out to other countries, how does that benefit America? How does it benefit the people that are living on top of the natural gas? Will we benefit in any way? Is natural gas going to come to us as homeowners at a decent price? Will it be piped into the village, up into the town areas? Those are the questions that I have. Because what I'm seeing on the television, that is all about helping Americans. Now, if this is all going out of our country, how in the world is that benefiting us? So I'd like feedback, if you would, if you know. Because you're representing me.
I do believe, personally, that if drilling was allowed, I do believe that it is going to help many of the larger landowners that are fortunate enough to get a well. Because regardless, those that have an acre or even up to probably 15 acres, you're certainly not going to get a well. The well sites that I have visited, you need at least 20 acres. So I do believe there's going to be money brought into this community. The wells are taxed. There's an added valorum tax that goes on to the gas wells. It's going to bring in all kinds of revenue to help us with our school taxes, with our property taxes. I don't know about the rest of you in this room, but things are tight. And any help we can get is welcome as far as I'm concerned. Is there going to be jobs? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I don't know. A lot of the questions that some of you are going to have here tonight in regards to the drilling and so forth, I don't have those answers. I don't pretend to have those answers. That is why we say to you, the individuals in this room, let the state of New York do their job. They're the ones that have been spending 3 years now doing all the studying. They should know what's good and what's bad.
I understand that they're doing their job on that level, but when it comes to greed, when I hear back that, well, I watch the commercials are all about helping Americans. If they're going to take the natural gas from under the ground here and send it overseas, How are we helping Americans except the select
Well,
few that are
again,
sitting
as I
here?
just said, I believe that it's going to bring in revenue that's going to help everybody that's in this room.
Will it hold our taxes down? Will it bring them down?
I would certainly think so, and I'll just give you one example. The laser line, again, it wasn't drilling, but there is a gathering line that runs from Pennsylvania up to Dunbar Road, and there's a compressor station that has been built there in the town of Windsor. Now, we had some issues, but we've gotten over those issues. The assessed value for the pipeline and the compressor station is about $29 million. That's what we sent them, a tax bill, or we sent them their notice that that's and they never even come in agreements. Not one iota, no concerns. I estimate that's going to bring roughly $100,000 of tax money into the town this year. Now, what's important about that is the fact that the Millennium Pipeline that went through here and put in a bigger line just a couple years back, they went running to the Broome County IDA and got a 15-year pilot program. And what they did, they got the first 5 years, they get a 75% reduction in their taxes. The next 5 years, they get 50%. And then the last 5, they get a 25%. These people should not have had not one break whatsoever. And when it comes to this laser, they didn't ask for any breaks. So again, I do see the benefits, and I'm sorry to say, but your time is up.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Father Kevin Bunger. I was a 14-year resident of Colesville. I left the area in 2008, and this area is still dear to me. I made the trip tonight from Kirkland, New York, about 85 miles north. I got involved in the hydrofracking issue in 2008 here in Broome County because of concerns about well water and the air quality and general quality of life with the increased traffic, etc. Won't go into the whole litany. But I would just say, folks, if you're really relying on the DEC, I would ask you to give serious consideration to a study that was done by Mr. Sorry, the name slips me. The name of the study is Monkey Business, because what he's done is take a look at the documents of the DGEIST, the draft supplemental environmental impact statement. He went back to the source documents of that study, found out that many of them were industry-driven, were industry studies, biased to some degree, nonetheless had something to offer. But the most important thing that Mr. William Fisher brought to mind is the fact that the DEC is skewed because of the inappropriate use of those industry documents. They were twisted, they were misquoted, they were unscientifically appropriated, and the fact is the DEC is under the influence of the industry in a way that is not proper at this particular point in its history. And to totally place a blind trust in what the DEC will produce is wagering the future of everyone's children and grandchildren in this room. So the folks in here are not only the beneficiaries of a possible oil boom in this town, but where the bust will come. And when it comes, not one of those children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren will benefit from the gas extracted. But they will pay the consequences of bad water and migrating poisons. New York City has been carved out. They're protected. I believe, it's my personal opinion, that the governor did that to take 9 million people out of the political equation. They're not going to complain because their water is going to be safe. Okay? So the rest of us are meant to defend for ourselves. My last comment, you folks here are the last line of defense. The feds have sold us out. The state has sold us out. Town boards around New York State and around the country are standing up, and I hope you're among them, to at least give pause. Give a break. You don't have to say it's right or wrong, just give us a break. Give us 5 or 10 years. Thank you.
Maybe if I could ask a
agenda this evening? Point of order, I was on the agenda this evening. Is that still included in the agenda?
That's included. You're on there. You're right at the mic right at the moment.
Okay. And it's 3 minutes, which I also
3 minutes, that is
which I also was unaware of.
And you're on the clock.
I was at the IDA to contest that $14.9 million, just so you know.
Who is it?
My name is Scott Clark. I live on Dodd Road, 249 Dodd Road, and my family has been in this Windsor area since the end of World War II, and in the Unadilla area before the turn of the century. I have given documents to the town board, so they have the documents. Anybody wants to question me about these? I have a statement of neutral proposal for horizontal hydrofracking, and I'm going to have to go a little bit quicker because I was unaware of the 3 minutes. But Joint Landowner Coalition meeting the other day, Hanger said that this area clearly wants gas well drilling, and then there was a choreographed resolution with the towns of Windsor, Colesville, Sanford, and Concord. So I have 3 challenges for the town board this evening. One of the challenges is to rescind the resolution. I'm here to challenge the process by which this seemingly choreographed resolutions were passed and to offer a neutral position on hydrofracking that provides a more democratic method by which to learn if the citizens of these townships truly want gas drilling via horizontal fracking. The second thing is to educate the public. We had a training program on July 2nd. There was pro-gas well drilling people there, anti-gas well drilling people there. I think we need more of that. And my last thing is, I hope that we have a referendum on horizontal fracking. And again, I'm pressed for time, and I apologize to people. As a friend of mine recently wrote, the Binghamton Press and Sun Bulletin, the governor and the DEC have said community wishes will be considered when permits are issued. A way to reach informed consent is to have a referendum where all citizens have democratic, objective opportunity to weigh in. New York State, and this is a powerful statement, I think, New York State has taken several years to examine the environmental aspects of this issue. Assessing the will of the people should be done with equal care. That's everybody in this room. So I asked the board if they would rescind the resolution 24, 2012. How say you?
I say no.
Okay. And would you help with
Your time is up, Scott, and I think now is the time when I need to speak up. Resolution 24 was brought to me. I looked at it as I would any resolution, and I brought it up to the town board meeting. Now, for those of you that are unaware of how a town board meeting works, by law, we have to put things on our website. We have an agenda, and on that agenda are the items that are going to be discussed. And we show up at a meeting like we did here tonight, and we conduct the business in front of us. It has been said, and I believe, Scott, you're one of the ones that had said it, it was done in the cloak of night, behind doors and the whole 9 yards.
Dark of night, light of day.
And none of that is true. And all I ask from you is speak the truth. Please, another individual a few minutes ago made mention of 2 board members that he thought could possibly have a conflict of interest. I can only speak to one, and I'm sure he was referring to me. I signed a lease in 2008, and it expires in 2013. I did not feel there was a conflict with this because, as was stated earlier, Resolution 24 did not say yes, you can drill, or no, you cannot. The audit said, plain and simple, let the DEC make up their mind and go from there. Again, we feel, as your representatives, it's irresponsible for us if the DEC were to find that it's okay to tell you right now that you cannot drill. That's irresponsible. I'm just as concerned as you are about the water. I'll also tell you, I worked 32 and a half years for a major oil company. We had spills, pipelines break, but we're not even there yet. We haven't discussed whether, if the DEC allows it, and who knows where they're going to allow it. So again, Scott, with all due respect to you, your time is up. And as far as the referendum, I will answer that. I'd like to point that out. You mentioned instead of this board voting on, put it up for a vote for the public. By law, and I happen to have it, you cannot do that. The state and the federal government does not give town boards the right just to bring a resolution in front of the court. Just think about it. We'd be in court every day with every resolution. Public hearings are required when you pass local laws. You must file 239 with the county, and then you have your public hearing, and then the board passes local laws. There are certain things that towns can do. That would be your home rule, okay? Zoning issues are one. A noise ordinance we just passed for the compressor station was one. Road agreements is something we can pass, but excuse me. But for the most part, when it comes to this gas drilling, these are issues that the DEC will handle, and we don't have any say to it. Now, yes, there's those in the room that are going to say, well, you could pass a zoning resolution or a law stating that it's not allowed. And yes, we probably could, but we won't. So again,
You have my information. I handed this to you. If anybody else wants to see these, I feel a little shortchanged. And again, all I'm asking for is for a vote. Time's up.
Thank you. Thank you. Next. Next. Is that it? We all come together. No one wants to speak. Come on down, sir. Guess you have to hang on a second.
Oh, sorry. I'm David Bagg. I live on 70 Shed Road. 6 or 8 months ago, a resolution was proposed by the board to make the highway superintendent position an appointed position. That didn't pass. Why didn't that pass?
Because the majority of the people that were at the meeting did not want it to pass.
I guess that's my point. I'm not saying I'm pro-fracking or anti-fracking. I'm a union electrician. My son's a union carpenter. My stepson's a union laborer who's laid off right now. This will put everybody to work. This has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that you did that for Rocky. You had a public comment. Everybody got to say what they wanted. It was standing room only. Now you're doing the same thing 2 months after you pass the resolution.
All right.
Well, why are we having this meeting tonight? What's the whole point of this? That's my point. I'm not saying I'm pro or anti. I just don't know why it slipped through like that. It just seems shady. It should have been done. This meeting should have been before the resolution was passed.
Again, my comment to that, Dave, is everything was advertised. We have our monthly meetings, and we sit there. We cannot send out an invitation to everybody in the state of New York to come to the next town board.
You did it for the resolution for
No, we did not. We advertised it just like we did this. The difference being, as I just said, that was a change in a local law.
That was subject to the referendum.
Right, and this was not. You got to know the difference.
You should have still let the public comment, that's all.
And they're commenting, Dave. Next. Yes, sir. Man down.
My name is Stanley Gluck, and I'm a property owner in the town of Colesville. The water from my property comes into the town of Windsor, into Quabbin Creek. The other reason I think I should speak here is that what you do will ultimately affect everyone in the state if in fact the state is going to make the final decision. So what you do by encouraging the state to make a decision in favor of fracking will affect me as well. So that's in the way of introduction. The DEC has a horrible record. All you have to do is go to IBM under the ground, and you wonder where the DEC was all those years, where people now are losing their homes, or their homes are devalued significantly. The DEC also has a record up in Syracuse, in Solvay, where Onondaga Lake is the most polluted lake in the entire United States. Where was the DEC? So as far as allowing the DEC to decide, that's questionable. The other thing is that Governor Cuomo recently said on a radio station in Albany that he's going to let you decide. That I guess he figured he didn't want to get the political flack from the Senate or whatever it is, the Senate up there, and he's going to let you decide. And that's a matter of record at this point. He wants you to decide. And we have to all wonder how much he's encouraged you to say what you're saying, because he can take that and say, oh, they've decided. Well, you haven't had a referendum. You don't know what the people want at this point. And 3 minutes is not enough to really get to the bottom of all of this, the questions of scientific fracking, questions about fracking, economics. Suppose that it goes through and you do find contamination. Now my understanding is that a huge amount of milk produced by the dairy farmers in this area is heading to New York City. The milk of one farm is batched with the milk of other farmers. What happens if that milk is contaminated? If my milk is contaminated, that means your milk is contaminated too. And Elmhurst Dairy goes by my place every day. Elmhurst Dairy is in Jamaica, Queens. The Elmhurst Dairy is the largest supplier of milk to the school system of New York City. What happens if they say we can't drink that milk anymore? What happens to the dairy industry here? Just something to think about. I don't know the answer to it, but it certainly should be considered before we move to anything.
Okay, time is up, sir. Thank you.
Jilda Rush, 81 Far Road, Windsor, and I hate public speaking, but I think this is important. I have shared this information with DEC several times. It concerns the cementing of the gas wells. Not much of anyone speaks about that. This is an article that I wrote for the press, April 25th, 2010. Everyone is familiar with cement, but have you ever thought about its use in gas wells? In the gas industry, cement plays a crucial role. First, the driller penetrates all the strata and the cuttings are removed, leaving a bare borehole. Next, a metal pipe called a casing is placed in the borehole. Most people believe fluids and gases can't possibly get through the casing. Therefore, the casing will protect underground aquifers from contamination. Wrong. Pollution can still occur in the space between the outside of the casing and the inside of the borehole called the annular space. This is why drillers force a cement mixture down the inside of the casing, then up the outside of the casing into the annular space until the cement fills this area and returns to the surface. This cement is the chief mechanism for protecting water sources. Having been an asphalt and concrete materials tester, I am concerned over the extreme conditions deep drilling operations will exert on this concrete. Portland cement by nature is too brittle and low in tensile strength to withstand pressures and vibrations. A study conducted by the oil industry itself, called From Mud to Cement, Building Gas Wells, illustrates the results of the improper cement selection. Google this title to download the study. Since the earliest gas wells, uncontrolled migration of hydrocarbons to the surface has challenged the oil and gas industry. Gas migration can lead to sustained casing pressure. By the time a well is 15 years old, and they haven't studied them for that length of time yet, there is a 50% probability it will have measurable SCP in one or more of its casing annuli. However, SCP may be present in wells of any age. Cement damage can occur long after the well construction process. Even a flawless primary cement job can be damaged by rig operations occurring after the cement is set. The mechanical properties of the casing and the cement vary significantly. Consequently, they do not behave in a uniform manner when exposed to changes in temperature. And have I reached my 3 minutes probably? I'm just trying to give you the idea about the cementing because hardly anybody speaks about that.
Gilda, your time is up.
And I have information for you folks.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name's Peter Ruggieri. I live at 181 Dyer Road in Windsor. And I would just like to make a couple statements relative to what the board members have said. I understand that the agenda is placed on the website about 24 hours prior to the meeting. My wife usually covers these meetings for the Windsor Standard. She was unable to be here tonight. But when she looked at the agenda for the main meeting and saw resolution number 24, there's a description of what it's supposed to be about. It didn't say to keep the town from frivolous lawsuits. What it said was to support gas well drilling. So I believe that the purpose of passing resolution 24 was not spoken quite correctly. My feeling is that the board took this position so that the governor and the DEC would view the town of Windsor as being in favor of gas well drilling. I don't feel that's a proper decision until there was some sort of method to ascertain what the position of the residents was. And as far as I know, there has been no efforts by the town board to ascertain that prior to the resolution. And that's what concerns me most. It's not that I don't want the DEC to be in control. I'll follow whatever the DEC says. It's the actions of the town board in accepting that resolution so quickly and for what I consider a duplicitous purpose that I am most concerned about.
Yeah.
I hate talking in front of people, but my blood's starting to boil a little bit over here. Craig Terrell, I live at 7 West Street in the Village. Just want to clarify some things. I am a subcontractor for Shell Oil and Cabot. I do haul fracking fluid for them. A gentleman asked if our kids or grandkids would benefit from this. I can say, yeah, my kid goes to bed at night knowing that he's going to have food on the table when he gets up in the morning. Not wondering where you're going to get your next dollar, but where you're going to spend it. I heard, as far as putting people to work, I heard 2 guys that were farmers that were bankrupt and put them to jobs. They can take their kids camping, they take them to amusement parks. Now, they could never afford to do that before. I can tell you that Shell, for example, you spill a cup of water on the ground and everything shuts down. These people are so safety conscious. I mean, it's unbelievable. And one more thing, as far as somebody, I don't know what's wrong, but saying that some people are going to benefit from this. Well, if somebody does, if somebody can make $1, great. I want to know that these lights are going to be on in the school for my kid to come here and not say the town can't afford it. I had to go to PA to get work, but people, let's bring it here. Let's put people to work. Let's get jobs.
For someone that doesn't like public speaking, you're a tough act to follow. My name is Jim Willis. I live at 20 Hilltop Lane, Windsor. I own 2/3 of an acre of land, so I'm sure not going to get rich from this. But I'm also editor of a publication called Marcellus Drilling News. And I've studied this issue extensively for the last several years. And I'm here tonight as a Windsor town resident to applaud you for what you've done in passing Resolution 24. It was the exact right thing to do. If there's one thing that I've learned in the past few years that I've been writing my publication, and it is my full-time job, it's how I earn my living, and watching this issue extremely closely, the one thing that I've learned is that those who oppose drilling, not always, but almost always, have what I consider to be an irrational hatred of fossil fuels. It animates them, and it's what drives them and motivates them. And if you listen closely, that's what you're going to hear. You have taken a stand for freedom, and I applaud you for passing Resolution 24. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to come and speak. My name is Steve Childress. I grew up on 175 Thompson Road in Windsor. I now live on Foley Road in Windsor. I own a business in the community. I employ two other people that live in the community. I'm 35. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm scared about this force majeure. I own land here. Say 60% of the land is leased off. Are you going to force us into fracking? And if you are, it's my understanding that you need 1 hectare, which is 640 acres, for a pad. Okay, so if you need that to frack, so then you're going to need that hectare around it. So what if my 2 acres sits in that hectare? Are you going to frack under my land? If I like it or I don't like it, I'm not for it, but I'm not telling you what to do on your land. What I'm asking you is, be conscious of your neighbors. Once again, I grew up in this town my whole entire life. I went to the United States Marine Corps. From there, I went to Broome Community College. And from there, I've worked in the community. So that's what I have to say. That's it.
Anyone else?
I'm not gonna get. Well, first off, my name is Jim Donahue, 995 Route 79, Windsor, New York. I'm not going to get into the pros and cons of drilling per se, but I do have one question for you. I'm from New Jersey originally. I moved up here to get some peace and quiet and to, believe it or not, escape pollution. And when they drilled for natural gas down in New Jersey, they had this program called Host Community Benefits, where the gas company will actually hook up residents to gas wells and gas lines, and they would get free gas. Is that in the mix here, or is this like, as somebody else said, gas going over to Australia or China or whatever, or out of the area. I want to know that most of the gas here is being used to benefit Windsor residents and not to line somebody's pockets.
To be honest with you, we have not talked to any drillers because it's not permitted here yet. I will tell you, and it's well documented, that the Marabido Fuel Group and Corning Natural Gas have teamed up, and they have been to the town looking to run natural gas to the village. And they want to tie into the new laser gas line, it's now Williams, up on Kent Street. And they will provide that service to the village right now, is what they're saying. So we wanted to do that when we built the West Windsor sewer treatment plant. Seeing that we dug up the roads and so forth, we figured, well, now would be the time to look into gas at the same time. We went to NICET, which was the closest supplier, that Schneider's Market was the closest area. But they wanted $1.2 million to run natural gas up to West Windsor. So that didn't happen. But here, again, your question, this new company is telling us they will run gas to the village. And there is no charge to do that, is what we were told, right, Mayor? And so that is in the works. Now, they talked to us toward the beginning of the year, and you know, so we're working out some details here on you know, road agreements and so forth. As far as looking ahead, are these drilling companies going to allow us as homeowners to tap in, or are they going to do the same thing in a certain area? I don't know. I have no idea of knowing that because I don't know who's coming or if they're coming. There's too many variables.
Well, before you pass any more resolutions, maybe we should find out.
Well, again, you got to know who's coming before you can find out.
Thank you.
Yes.
Evan Romer, 51 Chestnut Street in the village. I've lived there for 21 years. My wife and I had planned to live the rest of our lives in Windsor, in the house we're living in now. Sorry, Evan Romer, 51 Chestnut Street in Windsor. I've lived here 28 years. I love the area. I love the town. My wife and I had planned to live the rest of our lives in the house that we're living in now. We're scared of what could be coming. This is the most important issue, and I think everybody would agree that this is the most important issue that Windsor faces for the next 50 years. This will affect generations to come. For the town board to have taken a position on this with no public discussion, no real opportunity for input, not asking for any input. Yes, they followed the legal procedure. That's not what I'm questioning. I'm questioning is whether it's the right and proper procedure for a decision of this importance, as some other speakers have said. It's a resolution that purports to speak for the town when the board has not made any attempt to find out what the town thinks. And I don't know what the town thinks. Judging by this meeting, the town is pretty strongly in favor, but we don't know that. We don't know what most people think. And the board has not attempted to find out. And it's clearly a resolution in support of drilling. It's ridiculous to suggest otherwise. It's titled support of gas drilling. And the reason a lot of people here are applauding the board is because they know it's a resolution in favor of drilling. And what I would ask everybody who's in favor of this procedure is to think for a moment, suppose a different board had passed a resolution against drilling with no public input and no attempt to get public input, or a ban or a moratorium. You would be here questioning the procedure and saying it was wrong. And the golden rule says that what you want for others, you should want. What you want for yourself is what you should want for others. This is not a correct procedure for a decision of this importance. And for the board, seemingly from what I've read in the paper, and to not even reconsidering it, to be dismissive of those who say, well, we did it legally, so it's okay. You didn't make an attempt to find out what the public thinks, and you don't know what the public thinks, and I don't know what the public thinks. So let's find out. Let's have an opportunity for a real public discussion, people to get educated about it. Mr. Williams, when you say you can't do a referendum, does it mean you can't do a binding referendum, or can you do a non-binding referendum? Could that? You say it's illegal to. Sure. So you could do a non-binding referendum.
No, go ahead.
This is a New York State Comptroller opinion, and I'm just going to read part of it. It says, it has been consistently held in this state that a municipality may not submit a question to a referendum, either advisory or binding, in the absence of express statutory authority. Based upon these cases, we have stated that referendum which are neither authorized nor required by statute are improper and without effect, and that municipal monies may not be expended for such circumstances.
Okay, so referendum is not an option, but there are ways to gather public opinion, and the board has made no attempt to do so, and I really have a problem with that.
I think your comment and your time is up, but you're wrong. We advertised, we held a meeting. Just because people didn't show up, that's my fault. I disagree.
For a decision that gets made, if the board had done something you disagreed with, you would not be a time's up.
Hi, my name is Paul Wayman. I live on 640 Mount Carmel Road, Windsor, New York. Some of the issues as far as gas drilling goes. First, this is a large business, has a global effect. So you're going to see global companies come and get involved. Will we benefit? I think we will benefit, but I think there'll be a lot of other benefits going on. Second of all, I want to make sure I support the board on their actions. I think that they do not have the resources on their own to make an informed decision on where we're going with gas drilling. Third, I'd like to say to the residents of the village of Windsor, of the town of Windsor, this gas drilling issue has been out here for 4 years. The town board meetings are never this full. I don't know why all of a sudden you're saying it's their fault. It's your fault for not getting involved.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hello, board. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is William Houston. I'm from the town of Union. I'm speaking here today as a subject matter expert to a certain degree on the New York governing document, the SGEIS. Actually, it's the draft at this point, the revised draft. There were a total of 8 public hearings that were given by the DEC, and there were 3 additional ones. There was 11 total. I believe that I am the only person in the state of New York that went to all 11. And you can watch them all on shaleshockmedia.org if you're so inclined to see some of the comments. I highly encourage you to do that, because what you're saying is, you're saying the resolution is neutral, and you're saying, let's let the state do its job, and they have the experts. Well, if you haven't listened to any of the public comment, the testimony from the people, it would be really beneficial if you did that, because this document is seriously flawed. In fact, very large portions of it were written by industry, as other speakers have already said. Additionally, here's another good reason why we shouldn't trust the DEC. And that's because the DEC, just recently there was an article that came out, research done by the Environmental Working Group, that the DEC was colluding with industry. Look for there's emails foiled between Tom West and Steve Russo. Steve Russo is Deputy Commissioner with the DEC. He's also the Chief Legal Counsel. They were working together to craft the language of the document that's going to regulate the industry. And environmental groups, and regular citizens, we were not given equal access to that document beforehand. That was collusion with industry. That's a serious problem. Tom West is also a very interesting issue. Look into Tom West. He not only wrote the state's compulsory integration law, which by the way is not based on any kind of geology or science. It's not like forced pooling. Forced pooling actually benefits landowners because if there's a big pool of gas down there and they drill over here, they're draining my gas. Forced pooling in conventional wells is a good idea for landowners. Contrarily, compulsory integration in shale formations, the only way to drain the shale, it's not like a pool that's just sitting there. You gotta blast it by fracking it. You gotta have a drill bit going under your property. Tom West wrote that for the state of New York, and also, and let's look at this, Tom West actually represented Middlefield. He represented the industry side, Jennifer Huntington, in the Middlefield case. Tom West is colluding with the New York State. Thank you. I highly encourage you to adopt the neutral position and pass a moratorium. That's a properly neutral position.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Board, for allowing me to speak. My name is Bob Williams. I'm a resident of the town of Windsor. I'm also an environmental consultant with over 40 years worth of experience, and I'm also a member of the Governor's High Volume Hydrofracking Panel. The one thing I can actually say for the town of Windsor, where I'm a resident in the town board, is I'd actually like to congratulate you guys on everything you've done with the natural gas development. Being proactive with the laser line going through and enacting a road use agreement and a noise ordinance was a fantastic thing to do. You guys have been on top of it from the very beginning. And the last thing that you did by passing this resolution, I've worked with regulatory agencies all over the United States. I'm not talking about just New York. I've worked in 32 different states as far away as Alaska, and of course as close as New York, and looked at all the regulations all over the place. No regulations any place in the United States are as restrictive as the regulations in New York. And I'm a big proponent of regulations for a number of reasons. One of them is that's how I make my living. The more strict the regulations are, the better I do. But you've done a great job. The resolution that you passed will go along with the DEC. The DEC does a terrific job. The EPA, they're a great organization. Stick with them. They'll do well by it.
Thank you. My name is Mike Griffin. Live at 208 Ostrander Road, town of Windsor. I'm a 40-year resident of town of Windsor. I'm a landowner. I'm a farmer. Just a couple of points I'd like to make. First of all, I'd like to applaud you fellas and ladies. Resolution is good. Just a couple of points that I think need to be made. But first of all, as a landowner, my mineral rights are my mineral rights. No one has the right to tell me what I can and can't do with my land. Somebody doesn't right. People are not being forced to sign leases. If they own land and they don't want gas drilling on their land, nobody's forcing. Okay. The idea of the hectares and so much, such a percentage of a hectare, the people accept it. That's the way the business goes. It's done. I doubt very much that anybody who is against drilling and gets a royalty check will be sending the check back to the oil company.
Yeah, but that's
But it's just my basic point is these are our rights. We have been in the process of getting leases. We have lawyers. We have good lease proposals. We know what we're doing, and to the people who would try to stop us, this is our land, this is our business. So please, leave us alone, let us do what we want. Thank you.
as long as I'm the other one that's being accused of the resolution going through, I think you ought to stop and think about the fact that there's 3 board members that all voted for it. They don't, any of them own enough land that they could possibly be drilled on. They could have canceled it and not had it go through. As Marcelo said earlier, we were told that the resolution was just saying that we were allowing them to go ahead, whatever the state did. We were not making a motion to go either way, that yes, you can drill, no, you can't drill. And I get a little bit tired of hearing all the time of the conflict because I own a business in the town. I think it's a shame that a man can't live in this town and work in this town. I've been on this town board for 32 years and have tried my best to serve the town of Windsor, not anything for Cowell Brothers Construction. And there's some things that people don't know, and I usually wouldn't even say anything, but everything goes around how we've had so much benefit from the town. How many people in the town know that Cowell Brothers has furnished a tower for the last 8 years for the town of Windsor and the fire company to have radio communication at no charge at all to the town of Windsor? Thank you.
I'd just like to add again, our meetings are the first Wednesday of the month. They are open to the public. They are advertised beforehand. The agenda's there. Normally, we do not put a limit on public speaking. We did tonight due to the large number of people. Our town board meetings average about 8 people. And the normal time for us to hear the complaints is budget time. And it's not during the budget process, September, October, November. It will be January and February thereafter. Why this? Why that? Well, where were you when we were discussing the budget? And it's no different with this issue. There's always 2 sides to everything. You're not going to please both sides. Unfortunately, I guess we're the ones that were elected to do a job. And that's all we're trying to do. We are trying to look out for everyone that lives here. And thank you. Thank you. That's it. All in favor? Thank you guys, well done.
How you doing? Nice to meet you. How's things going? Good street? Yeah.
So, how's it working out?
Pretty good. I get just confused all the time.